This video, you're going to find out how to Telly bridge, which is the fastest bridging method you can do legit. And you're probably asking, why are you making a tutorial? There's already a tutorial on Telly bridge. I'm just gonna say, those tutorials on YouTube, while they aren't bad, they don't explain how to learn Telly bridging. They just explain how it works. Okay, so let's get straight into the video. So today I'm going to go over common mistakes that new Telly bridgers do, tell you how it works, what to look out for, and also I'm gonna tell you what are the secrets to doing it consistently. Also, only one of you are not subscribed, so if that's you, I know where you live. Okay, good. Anyways, so what do I need for Telly bridging? Of course, you're gonna need a mouse that can double click. And if you wanna know if your mouse can double click, you can check out my other video about it at the top right of this video. Secondly, you're gonna have to drag click. And if you cannot drag click, there's plenty of tutorials on that, and I will probably make a tutorial on that also. So subscribe for that if you're not already. And thirdly, what you're gonna need is a moderate to high sensitivity, because you're gonna be turning a lot. And if you have like a moderate sensitivity, you're gonna need a bigger mouse pad. That's something to keep in mind. Also, you're gonna need a server to practice your Telly bridging. So here are some bridging server IPs. Also, another thing I forgot to mention is that you have to bind your sprint key to something very accessible, or have a toggle sprint mod. So basically, there are multiple types of Telly bridge. There is normal Telly bridge, which can be 5 block or 6 block. And there is also a speed Telly, which skips the second jump, which I will get into later in this video. So if you're starting out Telly bridging, you're gonna want to learn 5 block Telly, because 6 block Telly is significantly harder to do, and you should not be starting with that. Now, there's an important thing to remember when doing Telly bridge. You can time or hold your spacebar. I personally advise you to time your spacebar because it is faster and it's not that much harder, so you might as well learn it with timing spacebar. So now, to do a 5 block Telly, you have to make 2 jumps, and the second jump has to be at the middle of the edge block. After that comes the tricky part. You have to turn around and hold S. This is where most new players make their first mistake. They either turn too quickly or too slowly. You have to turn around at just the right speed, otherwise your Telly is not gonna be straight. So basically, to practice this, you have to stand 3 blocks from the edge, make 2 jumps, and turn immediately after the first jump. Do not start turning around before the jump. Do this for a couple hundred attempts so you get the feel for it. The next thing is actually starting to place blocks. Now, many people think this part is the hardest part. I do not think so. This part is actually easier than it looks once you get the hang of it. So basically, aim at about the edge of a block and start moving your cursor down while drag clicking. You have to aim your crosshair lower at an accelerating speed. This thing can only be learned by doing it a lot of times, because everyone is going to develop their own Telly bridging style. After you start placing blocks and you make the first clutch, you have to immediately jump again and place another 2 blocks. Also, don't move your crosshair straight down, move it a little bit to the side. Now comes one of the harder parts, the flick jump, or whatever you want to call it. It involves turning around about 135 degrees. It's not really that precise, but you can use this number as a reference. Now what you want to do is hold A and W if you're turning through the right, or W and D if you're turning through the left, and jump. But that's not all A and W are good for. Telly bridgers usually use the strafe key to realign themselves if they aren't Telly bridging perfectly straight. It will come to you naturally as you practice. You should practice the turning for a good while, because this is the most important part of Telly bridge. You can very easily lose momentum here, so try to learn this part as thoroughly as possible. There's also a few other ways to realign yourself. You can turn a little bit more than 135 degrees to go a little bit backwards in Telly bridging, or If you're a little bit close to the other edge, you can turn less than 135 degrees to go a bit forward. Now after you do that jump, you will have to try to repeat what I just told. Aim your cursor at the edge of a block and move it downwards. Jump again, place 2 blocks, repeat. After you got good enough at this that you can do 2 consecutive tellies, you have to just practice for a really long time. You can learn to do 5 tellies in about 20 to 40,000 attempts. This actually really depends on the person and how they learn it. I recommend you learn it for 20 minutes and do a pause. That's the best way to learn. Also, don't try to learn every part of telly bridging at once. Practice each part independently and try to combine them together later. Also, if you want to telly bridge consistently enough to do a 1 or 2 tellies in a Bed Wars game, you just have to put in a lot of practice, because telly bridging has a lot of moving parts and you need to master all of them, and that's basically how you learn telly. So anyways guys, thank you so much for watching this video. It took me a really long time to make, so you might as well like it. It helps the algorithm and it only takes a second. So anyways, see you in the next one.